Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and today we're back with another Genji video. You guys really liked Genji last time, so we're going to bring it back, do a bit of that King of the Hill, just a little bit differently, with LINKZR, who I think that's what you say it, but overall, he's a really good player, and he's really quite good at Genji, and he speaks a different language, so you can feel really cool while watching his gameplay, which you can check down in the description below, because of course, I always link the gameplays there. Anyways, as we see right here, we're just getting straight into it. He plays a very, very offensive Genji for the most part. He has some times where he does play pretty defensively, but a lot of the times, he's definitely getting in there, looking for kills, and trying to apply a lot of pressure. With this said, you will be seeing quite a few deaths from this player, you know? It pretty much just happens with everybody that plays the game that goes really offensive, but at the same time, he does seem to have a very big impact, and as well with this, I do want to remind you guys that of course, if people miss abilities, and of course, if people get killed, you also have to remember that these guys are not simply very good players, they're also facing some of the best players in the world, so kind of keep that both ways. Anyways, to the gameplay itself, right now he's playing a little bit more defensive. They have the point, and you do want to always remember to yourself that if you are on King of the Hill, and if you do have the point, often, if the enemy teams aren't all jumping in right at the same second, it's a good idea to just try to poke them out, try to stall for as much time as you can, and try to make so that they can't get these really fast engages, and maybe try to engage yourself first. As if you can get a few kills first, as we see right here, a super nice engage, then you can do really, really well. But we saw that this kind of just carried over from this team playing really defensive, and then trying to catch someone out, and not just going against a full enemy team. Of course, you can do that, but not all the time is the best. Right there, just unfortunately got hit by a tracer bomb, you know, really whatever, just kind of have to continue from that. We see him getting back onto the point, pretty much just unfortunate for him, and once again, he's versus Tracer. In this gameplay a lot, we also see Genji versus Tracer. It's really kind of an awkward matchup because if you use all your mobility instantly as Genji, it can be kind of hard. And if the Tracer does get her instant burst on you, she can kill you on one clip and kill you a lot faster than you can kill her if you've already used your burst, that being your shift or your strike. But if you don't do that, then you have a pretty high chance of killing her. As well with this, I feel like sometimes, you know, playing projectile characters versus Tracer can be a bit of a problem. And of course, Genji is a really, really big case of that. But still, he can do really well. From there, we saw him going around, of course, targeting the support. That's always a really good thing to do as this character. And especially when you're on these maps, you can often walk around to the back and then go after the support. You don't always have to go in the second that your team goes in, and you don't always have to go in exactly where your team goes in. I don't know why so many people do this, but so many people just don't really think about all the other times when they could be getting in, all the other times when they could just be doing really anything, and I don't know, I feel like it's a problem that a lot of people have. From here right now, he's kind of going in by himself, you know, wasting a little bit of time, wasting a little bit of stocks, but right now, they're all just resetting, they're all waiting, and of course, that's something you want to do. Sometimes you might just get a bit too aggressive, you know, wait, you can continue from there, and he's still doing really well as far as, you know, KDA, whatever he's doing. Continuing from here, just kind of walking around, going behind, doing all that he can. Right there, they got a really unfortunate pick. So what they can try to do is either try to get a pick on that Tracer, or they can just try to, you know, back up, poke a little bit. They decided to go for a bit of poke, just kind of like a little bit of the medium of both. And now they should probably wait for that Reinhardt. If you pick up Reinhardt on this map, it's really, really good idea to wait for him. Luckily for them, they got a really nice pick on that Roadhog though. So now you can see it's a great time to go in. Of course, they already knew that they had that Zarya ult, probably talking in chat or just assuming that they had the Zarya ult. And when you want to remember that what this player does when he does get ulted, or when he ults as Genji, I mean, is that he jumps up and tries to jump above them and runs in all directions in the air. He tries to have really, really crisp air movement. When you're doing that, it makes it a lot harder for people to shoot you, like Soldier 76. They have to look all around, and especially someone with a projectile, be it Mei, be it Lucio, be it anything like that, trying to shoot you is a lot harder if you're playing somebody that's jumping all around than if you're playing versus somebody that's just standing straight in front of you, a Genji that's standing straight in front of you and that just keeps slacking. Yeah, you should probably be jumping around like this guy was doing, and you can just kind of go from there. Of course, he got a lot of attention, pulled a lot of people off the point, or really the only guy that was left on the point, that being Soldier, and then they just finished off that match. Pretty simple, pretty easy to do. And continuing from here, he has a few options. He can go through the left room, follow up his team, try to just get a little bit of poke, and especially he can try to get a nice height advantage, just jump above them and try to just get a little bit of damage, just poke them back. Or he can try to get in the back line, or he can try to run around the side and get another kill. Right there was kind of unfortunate, you know, his E just lasted a bit too long, but, you know, it's a little bit of a safe option, so I guess you can kind of just take that either way as you go. I'll continue from here. Since you got that kill, the enemy team didn't have way too many people that could do a lot of consistent DPS. Of course, Genji isn't the most consistent himself, so if you take out a more consistent character, well, you can do well in quite a bit of situations. Alright, there, of course, you saw that Tracer coming around from the side, and right here, he sees that he can essentially just get free poke for no negative at all. Of course, the projectiles are actually really, really nice for that. Again, I feel like a lot of people just kind of don't throw these things out. Of course, they always throw out the right click. They always throw out the one that throws 3 at once, but a lot of the times they won't throw out the slower version of throwing that he's doing right now. Right here again, we see him versus a Tracer, again being kind of hard, especially because Tracer does have that heal. So if you don't instantly burst her, you're in a lot of trouble. We just kind of teleported right here though, and now he has his ultimate up, so he can really start to look for some plays. When you're playing Genji without your ultimate up, it can be a little bit hard, simply for the fact that, of course, Genji doesn't have the most burst after his first kill, and especially if you can't get a first kill, it can be really hard. But with his ultimate up, as we saw right there, he can just jump in, and especially what you want to do as Genji is try to get a kill or try to get some damage before you ult, from medium to farthest range, you know, get people to half health or less, wait for your team to get a little bit of damage, so then you're really ready for those resets. I see a lot of people always going in first before everybody else on their team, and while that can be good and can be a good engage, a lot of the times if you can't get a reset as Genji with your ultimate, if the enemies can aim or if they have their own ultimates, well, you're really just kind of screwed after you use your first shift. You're in really big trouble, and yeah, it's not always the best. Right here, they're trying to just jump around, get somebody on the point, and since he is Genji, he has a lot of mobility. He can just run behind. Went in right there, try to get on that Reinhardt, and just kind of, you know, walking behind. They really won this team fight so far, though, so he doesn't have to worry way too much. Eventually, they get the point. And right there, essentially, all he did was just stay a little bit behind the enemies off to the side. He could get really consistent DPS, and then he could mainly have his team focus on getting the kills. I did pretty good there, just really getting out a little bit of DPS, and you can see that even if Genji doesn't always assassinate every single second of the game, he still can get out some pretty good DPS. Yeah, that's essentially it. He has some pretty good DPS. Continuing from here, of course, just poking from far range. Really, again, no reason not to do this. And, of course, he sees that Tracer around to the left, so he should kind of worry about her. Of course, he turns around right there, notices that she's right there, and is probably going to go after her right here. What his choices are is that he could either go after her, be very, very risky, or come next to his team, try to get some heals, and just try to go from there. It kind of depends on how skillful you think you are, and mainly how risky you are. Are you ready to go for that, or would you rather play it a little bit safer? They go a little bit safer, and then they get pushed all the way back here. So, yeah, that was not the best in this situation, but still, it was a good thought process. Continue from here, though. They're just trying to get around, get some kills. And since they do have one pick, if they wait a little bit, maybe get the Zarya up, they might be able to get in there. And especially since his ult, you know, like 60%, he could probably charge it up to 100% pretty soon, and then they could probably just get in. Running around here, though, essentially his choices again are to either go after the front line, get some consistent damage, or mainly jump to the back line, go for some boosts, and then he says, pick the Lucio now, thanks. Of course, this character does have a little bit of problems with Lucio. At times, it can be kind of hard to burst him, and especially if you can't get headshots, it really can be hard. So do ask your team. If you can get some help, if you can get some poke from other people on your team to help you kill the Lucio, that's a great idea. You can usually do okay versus Ana, but Lucio is a bit of a problem. I'll continue from here, though. They're just waiting for their teammates. They're just seeing what their teams are going to be doing, and they do need a really good push. They don't have any percent on the map, and the other team does have a very, very strong positioning. Of course, they go in right there. He is behind, so he can't try to go after the support, and luckily, he does just kind of find the end of the corner right here. That was kind of weird, you know, just kind of being there. Originally went after the Lucio, figured out probably this isn't the best idea. It's going to be a little bit hard to get. Switch to the Ana. As we keep going, though, we just respawned, and he's just walking around, waiting for his team. As you can see at the top right, though, they do have a few kills, so he can be really, really offensive. When you know that your team is up a few kills, you don't have to worry as much about your life, and mainly you can know that you can't really get ganged up upon as much. Genji really has a big problem with that, as he's not like Tracer, where if you get ganged up on, you can just jump away a few times. A lot of the times, crowd control can kind of just stop Genji, pull him back, or just make so that if there's 2 or 3 characters, they can just kill you. So it's a little bit harder, but yeah, they went through it anyways. And right there, of course, double slash kill them. Unfortunately, they're just a little bit too far away. There wasn't really anything he could have done about that, but still, they did get 2 kills, so they still are really up in this team fight, walking around the back, trying to get any heals that he can from anyone. Of course, the freaking Mercy's trying to go for damage instead of heals, but, you know, whatever. People do what people do. From right here, the enemy team is very, very picked off. So again, you can try to do is either get a pick himself while there's a few people alive, or what we can do is just try to get into the back line and wait for the enemies to go in as a whole, maybe try to get a pick and just continue from there. And what he kind of decided to do was go for the back line and try to get a pick from the back line. Of course, Genji's just really, really good at getting picks, and of course, when he has his ultimate up, he's really, really good at team wiping. So you have to kind of focus on those 2 main aspects of his gameplay. He's not as good at some other stuff, but those 2 things are especially very strong as him. Right here, trying to defend, a little bit awkward as Genji. Mainly when you're defending, do just focus on trying to get as many picks as you possibly can, as many headshots as you possibly can. And if you aren't pulling them out, maybe like hide around the corner and wait behind your team, wait for them to get engage, and then go in by yourself. Well, not really by yourself, but go in right after your teammates, so that you can do something like this, where they don't expect you to be there, and then you can get in there. Unfortunately, you just kind of got chanked by a Reinhardt ult, but it was really good in thought. Just sometimes it doesn't always execute the most perfectly. I'll continue from here though, they're just pushing the enemies off the point, and as well, they're not just completely hiding on the point. They're trying to push up, they're trying to get some picks, and they're trying to make sure that they keep up the advantage and keep up the pressure. When you are playing on defense, or on a King of the Hill map, you can't just really hide on the point because you really give the advantage to the other team. You want to put them in situations like where this Reinhardt is right now, where it's kind of awkward, where they don't have that much movement, where they aren't right next to their team, and just kind of going from there. As well, this Genji's doing a really nice thing where he's shoving the enemy team together, making sure that his team can combo them very, very well. And of course, when he has his ultimate up finally, he can just kind of massacre them through that. Finally, though, he gets one of those nice ultimates at the end. The enemy team tries to go in, but his team gets really nice re-engage, and they just kind of finish it off like that. Overall, what I really appreciate about this guy is that he goes very offensive, gets a lot of picks, and especially gets a lot of attention onto him. You have to remember how important attention is. If you're making everybody split from looking at their team and attacking, your entire team to just you, then your team can really get a lot of damage out and really just outplay the enemies, and we saw that over and over again with this guy. And as well, his team wipes was super good, and of course, hiding behind the enemies and waiting for them, that was a nice thing that he also did really well. Anyways, that's all that I'm going to say about this VOD. If you guys enjoy, as always, make sure to tell me down in the comment section down below. Tell me what you like about Genji, or if you're enjoying these VOD reviews as well, or if you want to see any more future VOD reviews about this character or any characters as well. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more future content, and as always, have a wonderful day.